NSFW, what is the strangest thing that has happened to you during sex? The first time my ex-wife and I really got into any anal play, we were right in the middle of it, and she said, I'm crapping. I just took a calming breath and said, that's okay, we'll deal with it. She gave me a weird look like, what the f are you talking about? Turns out her leg was cramping. Drilling her from behind when grandma called. She took the call. Showering together was too weird for her, but Grams on the phone, doggy is okay. Her grandmother, not mine. That would have been awkward. Girl's sister ran in the room, grabbed my underwear, and took off with them. She never gave them back. Maybe that was her way of asking for a threesome. I was in Philadelphia and I came at the same time as the only earthquake I've ever experienced. For the record, I was with my girlfriend, at her house. Initially I didn't know what it was, so my first thought was her mom's home. I hid in the closet with a boner for a good minute while she investigated. Chick had a bed with a window next to it, more or less at ground level. We're banging away one time and all of a sudden she just screams out, pushes me off, and pulls the sheets over her. I'm like, WTF, and she points to the window. There was a family of pervy raccoons out there chilling, watching us. Was it her family? Was she a raccoon? Not me, but a friend female was having sex in a room next door to us, and we heard the guy say to her, "Yeah, you like that, don't you?" And her super polite reply of no, not really. When I pulled out to come, the lower left half of my body sort of went dead, like I had a stroke. Call 911 please. Got surrounded and spooked by a half-dozen raccoons who were very curious about the sounds coming in from the middle of the pitch-dark park, with barely any moonlight. I only heard them getting closer, but I didn't stop until I finally saw them a few yards away. Fastest pull-out ever, that's for sure. My ex-girlfriend was riding me on a chair. We got up to go to the bed and apparently my legs fell asleep and I just collapsed to the floor naked, hard, and laughing. Naked, hard, and laughing. I now know how I want to die. In the shower, I was on my knees eating her out with her one leg over my shoulder. I was fingering her and put a second finger in her butt. Right as she was climaxing and squirting everywhere, I took both hands and grabbed her thighs and pulled her more into my face. I stood up and was looking down in her eyes, and that in deep ecstasy she had pooped a little turd behind her. I held her gently and firmly and slowly used my foot to pull it towards the drain and waffle stomped it. She doesn't know this happened. I think she would have died from it. We had only been hanging out for a short time. Chivalry isn't dead, folks. I tried to slap a girl's ass whilst she was on top and ended up hitting myself in the balls. Surprised at the positive reaction this has got, but glad some mirth could come from my temporary pain. Not exactly during sex, but I had this girlfriend who was pretty childish sometimes. She was studying for preschool teaching and she was pretty much a child herself, 21, older than me. Once I was fooling around with her and I told her I could make a pretty good impression of Elmo, and she made me do it. I did, and less than 5 minutes later we were having sex. She had the most intense orgasm I had seen until then. I found it weird, so I tested it several times. And yep, you guessed, I had never thought about it until Reddit made me. God, I'm sick. I think I'm gonna need some therapy. Afterwards, I climbed off the bed to use the bathroom, noticed our dog had gotten in the room, and stepped over her whelp. As I was doing so, his finale stuff dribbled out of me and right onto the dog's head. Skeptical smiley face. Dominance asserted. Something went wrong and I didn't orgasm when I usually do. Basically that moment when the pressure keeps building, then you explode. But it didn't happen. It kept building and building but not coming until finally I came in the most intense orgasm I ever have experienced. Collapsed off of her onto the floor, threw up, and then blacked out for a moment. When I came to, she was trying to revive me, looking horribly frightened. I just looked at her, covered in my own bath, and gave her a thumbs up while trying to say in my shortened breath, "Wow, that was incredible." That was 30 years ago, and no matter what I have done since, I have never been able to experience anything close to that ever again. I googled it. You have cancer. I came on a dog. It's not like it sounds. Years ago when I was still with one of my exes, she had this dachshund. He was the biggest princess of a dog I've ever encountered. Constantly wanted to be in your lap. He would nudge your hand until you pet him. Worst of all is him wanting to lay on the bed with you, but he couldn't jump up on his own. So one day we're going at it missionary and I go to pull out and I fire off a laser. What I didn't see is the dog had actually managed to jump up on the bed for once and free-willied himself across her body. It was a direct hit to the dog's neck. The timing of the jump shot couldn't have been better. That's a pretty elaborate alibi for a dog. She bit my dick and made a cut. I didn't notice. Put on the condom. 30 minutes. Wasn't enjoying. Pulled out. Condom was filled with blood. Went home in shock. Looked like I just had my period. Blood soaked through my boxers then my jeans. Hurt for a week after. Awesome. Deleted. The Battle of Tippecanoe. I got a Charlie horse in the muscle of my lower leg at the exact same time I had an orgasm. Weirdest combination of pain and pleasure ever. Thanks for bringing up repressed memories. I was on the bottom, then GF on top and riding away. I'm guessing I was hitting just the right spot because she is making a lot of noise and her face looks like she's watching a ghost eat her mom's taint. Gross. But this was her pre-O face. She starts to orgasm and clamps down like a mechanic's vice. Mid-orgasm her cat jumps on the bed and bites her. I'm guessing the noises scared the cat. She swings a backhand that would make a Detroit pimp proud. Sends the cat flying across the room and actually yelled, "No, kitty," in a voice with more bass than mine. She continues to undulate until done coming. Immediately hops off and gets her cat. "Mummy's sorry, baby," and walks out of the room with her cat. I didn't know what to do. Last week my wife fell asleep while I was eating her out. Not really unusual, but snapped my boyfriend's frenulum banjo string while on top. And we didn't realize for a few minutes. Stood up. Blood gushed out of me. He fainted. I had never heard it called the banjo string before, but I'll never call it anything else again. I was my ex-GF in a traditional college dorm shower at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. 15 minutes in, two guys come in and take a shower, each one of them on either side of us. They then begin to both sing Swing Low Sweet Chariot. Never lost a boner and laughed so hard at the same time. Apparently this happens at least twice a day at every college in America. Who knew? Keep making those bonkers disappear, guys. I picked a girl from the bar and then back home we were having sex and I like to dominate most of the time. So I pick her up and flip her to go doggy and she said, "Be careful, I'm pregnant." Turns out she just got divorced and found she was pregnant. She was drunk then started crying. I just drove her home that night and sat with her till she slept then left. Never saw her again. Damn mood killer, but you did the right thing. Got a nosebleed as soon as I started getting into it. Twice. With the same girl. So you're every male anime character. My text message ringtone went off. At the time, my ringtone was the part from 40-Year-Old Virgin where he says, "Oh, you're nailing me." Cool. We stopped. Both laughed. 17 seconds later it was over. She pooped. I puked. Never saw her again. Tucker. I once had an orgasm so intense, so long-lasting and so deep in my core, I'm a guy and I was beneath the woman who would become my wife, that I cried. The words that came to mind, pardon the pun, in that transcendental moment were, "I just came like a girl." The both of us just looked each other in the eye for a heartbeat then burst out in laughter. You climaxed. My dog kept licking the guy's ass. Weird part is, I had no idea it was happening. He was just humping away while my dog licked his ass, and it wasn't until I initiated a position switch that I saw my pup staring at me innocently, frozen mid-booty lick. I went back to a girl's house after we met at a bar that night. We were both drunk, of course, and I was laying on her bed. She started giving me a hand job, a rather fantastic, slippery one with Kai jelly before we had sex. Her phone rang. She picked it up. and balanced it between her shoulder and ear. I could hear it was a guy's voice on the other end but didn't think anything of it, and truth be told, I was rather turned on by her having a phone conversation while she jerked me off. She ended the conversation with, "I'm really tired so I'm going to hop off. I'll call you in the morning. Love you, bye." She was talking to her husband. 69 with girlfriend. Music on in background from iPod on shuffle. Comedy track comes on. She pops. So I come. Comedian hit punchline. We both laugh. Come out her nose. Makes her laugh harder and cry from cum in her nose. She farts. I end up rolling off the bed laughing so hard. Took a while to recover from that after she cleaned up. We both kept laughing. I don't remember who the comedian was. We are now married. Playlists only now. No shuffle. This is pretty much the ideal relationship. My aging cat head butted my boyfriend's balls while he was on top. I'd just got back from holiday and my very needy old cat was very eager for attention, but having not seen my boyfriend in 3 weeks I was a bit preoccupied. She was not impressed with how we were ignoring her howls and not patting her, so she apparently thought my boyfriend's testicles would be perfect to rub her head against. I couldn't see what was going on when he just started laughing and stopped me. Then I saw my poor old cat emerging between his legs. Apparently when he looked down he could just see my cat wearing his balls as a hat. Also, he gave your cat the old Roman helmet. She had an asthma attack. Her coughing while I was inside her was interesting. Dated a girl my junior year in high school that had braces. Long story short, there is now a 2-inch scar running down the backside of my penis. A half hour after her braces did the dance of swords on my dick. I'm at the hospital and the doctor examining me starts chuckling and asks what. Did she have braces? Having sex after showering together and I had gotten water stuck in one of my ears. At the exact moment I came, I felt my ear popped and was clear of water. It was really weird to feel both at the same time. Surely you have now reached enlightenment. Tell us what lies beyond. One night stand, the sex was good, but when he came he sounded like a baby goat being sacrificed. I could barely keep a straight face until we both fell asleep. The next morning, both of us sober, we went for round 2. Same thing happened again. Haven't seen him since. Good times. My sir and I were getting jiggy, and right as I was about to orgasm he yells "Squirtle, squirt," and we hear his roommates in the next room start laughing and clapping. Needless to say, I didn't finish. It's funny now, but at the time I was not too happy with him. Came in her butt, pulled out. I guess I pumped too much air in her. She let out an earth-shattering fart that sprayed my ejaculates all over my chest. So there was that. Chocolate shotgun. Well, no poo, so I chalked it up as a win. White chocolate shotgun. My girlfriend's dog was under the bed, unknown by us, and while she was on top, her dog came up and nuzzled my balls with his ice-cold nose. I jerked. She thought I finished. She punched me in the chest. The dog got kneed in the face. He bit my inner upper thigh. Then I finished. Alright, here goes. This is the story of my very first blowjob. I was a young Dino, still in high school, and had been flirting with a girl in my classes. We both joined a study group that was held at a mutual friend's house, where our flirting intensified. Soon it was clear that something wonderful was to come of this, and my inexperienced teenage mind was aflutter with excitement. After one of our study sessions, me and said girl decide to drive to a random neighborhood nearby and fool around. So we each get into our cars. I was driving my dad's car and I follow her for a few minutes. Heart racing, and then we both park. She gets out of hers and joins me in my dad's car. We start out with just making out, and soon get handsy. I'm rubbing her, she's rubbing me. Good stuff. Then she went down on me. Oh lordy, I could hardly contain myself. Her mouth was so warm and wet and she clearly knew what she was doing. I had never felt such a pleasing sensation. I was ecstatic. Then it happened. A few minutes after she had started I heard a small gagging sound and then felt a warm, gooey, semi-viscous liquid engulfing my John Thomas and the surrounding area. She looked up at me mournfully and I mumbled something along the lines of, "I'm so sorry. I didn't even know I was close." I was under the impression that I came in her mouth without warning, and was slightly perplexed. As I figured the climax would be a bit more climactic, I continued apologizing, thinking I had splooged in her mouth without permission. Man, was I wrong. She had thrown up all over my dick, the rest of my crotch, and my seat. She started apologizing over and over, and all I could think about was how I was going to explain the sick that was now all over the driver's seat in my father's car. Anyways, I ended up telling her it was fine, I would be fine, no worries. But I was freaking out. After she left, I went to the grocery store and got some wet wipes while still covered in sick and cleaned myself and the car. When I went home, I left the window open, sprayed some cleaner in that bitch, and my dad never even found out. That's one of those stories. Dad knew. Dad just didn't want the details.